Before I get into the details about this trip, I first want to thank Ram sir for inspiring me both in dubbing as well as in spiritual journey. Because the moment he mentioned this temple, I was so intrigued that I decided to visit it the very next day. And by that, I'm sure you can understand that this was a very last-minute trip with negligible planning. The most important reason for me posting this video is to cherish this moment. And our brain is such a funny organ. It can forget even the most exhilarating experiences. Like my Chopta trip back in April 2022 when I visited Uttarakhand, I missed doing a podcast for that. And I feel like sometimes pictures are just not enough to recount such wonderful memories. So I'm just gonna document all of my solo trips in the form of a playlist so that I can go back to them and remember that I had it in me to do something amazing. Not to forget, all of this is coming from a person who used to hate traveling, forget traveling solo. With that backdrop, let's get to know about this temple. This is the Nishkalank Mahadev Mandir. Nishkalank refers to the state of being pure or innocent. Mahadev is Lord Shiva and Mandir means temple. In terms of location, it is about 1 to 2 kilometers away from the shore at Koliak Beach, which is located near Bhavnagar. Based on my experience, I would say there are two important prerequisites for you before you try to visit this temple. One, you need to know when the Titi timings are because the temple would be open only as per that schedule. And secondly, you need to know when the low tide is because during high tide, the temple would be submerged. I think the easiest way to go about it is to just get the number of the priest or anybody who owns a shop in that area so that you can just check with them as to when the temple would be open. In terms of commuting to the temple, I first took a bus, GSRTC, from Ahmedabad to Bhavnagar, and from Bhavnagar there is another bus to Pipliyapur, or as my Gujarati friends say, Pipadiyapur. I'm probably saying it wrong, I'm sorry. It took me about 5 hours to reach Bhavnagar from Ahmedabad, and from Bhavnagar to Pipadiya it was about 30 to 40 minutes. And from Pipadiya, you just have to take an auto or a share auto to get to Koliak Beach. And from Koliak Beach shore, you just have to walk for about 20 minutes to reach the open Nishkalank Mahadev temple. And since I did not know the language, I was constantly panicking because I was misinterpreting what the locals were saying. But I would say that I was also fortunate to have met some really empathetic strangers. For example, in the bus journey from Bhavnagar to Pipadiya, I met this considerate, sweet Gujarati auntie. The moment she understood that I did not know Hindi or Gujarati, she went out of her way to explain about Koliak Beach and Pipadiya, and she made me feel so comfortable throughout the journey. And it's moments like these during travel that I really enjoy because it restores my faith in humanity and kindness. Of course, there will be and there have been moments where I was overcharged for the auto or even at a shop while buying souvenirs, but I guess those are things that you just have to accept and move on. Okay, now let's get back to the temple. It is believed that the Pandavas were guilty of killing the Kauravas in the Kurukshetra war, so they decided to seek the forgiveness of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna gave them a black cow and a black flag. He asked the Pandavas to follow the cow around and that they would be truly forgiven when both the cow and the flag turned white. The Pandavas obliged and decided to follow the cow. However, no matter where they went, both the cow and the flag stayed black. Finally, when they reached this point where the Nishkalank Mahadev Mandir stands today, both the cow and the flag turned white. And here the Pandavas decided to meditate upon Lord Shiva, who appeared before them as 5 different lingas, one for each of the Pandavas. And to this day, you can see 5 lingas with a Nandi each at this temple. You can also witness a bunch of migratory birds just chilling at the shore. But what was really inspiring for me is that people of all age groups were visiting this temple. Just everybody walking together towards a collective goal, and the energy there is so bright, so vibrant. I did not want to leave that place at all. I would say that the beach was a little unkempt though. Oh, and at the temple you can also find people selling food, and instant digital photographs, I had one taken of me. And the ride back home was equally lovely because the breeze was so clean, green, and fresh. The only part about the bus ride which made me sulk was that there was a couple sitting in front of me and the PDA was a little much. But that's alright, I'm not A-Train from the boys, for those who get the reference. But yeah, I couldn't do much about that. And anyway, I was a little occupied listening to Anirudh's music. Anirudh is my favorite music director, by the way. So I was listening to his composition for SK in the Tamil movie Remo. And with that unsponsored promotion for Anirudh, I think it's time to wind up this podcast. Thank you for listening if you stayed this far. I really hope that you visit this beautiful temple. Do let me know if you visit. And this is Aruna signing off. Bye bye. Om Namah Shivaya.